Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Happy Bringling. Namaskar, friends, and welcome to Rotary Legacy Fridays. Today we are going to talk about not just about how Rotary can survive for the next year, 100 years, but we are going to talk about Rotary priorities in action. How education, livelihoods, and entrepreneurship are going to transform the country and creating a legacy called Rotary Legacy. Let me start this with a quote. The true test of a nation is not how many billionaires it creates, but how many lives it uplifts in the process. Rotary International has been serving the world for over a century now, building schools, hospitals, water projects, eradicating polio, and changing lives. But today I want to talk about something deeper, not just what we have done, but why we must reimagine the next century of Rotary. Because the world has changed. And the question we must ask ourselves today, are we still transforming lives or just repeating history? As we step into Vision 2030, Vision 2047, Rotary priorities, education, livelihoods, and entrepreneurship are no longer optional projects. They are the very backbone of India's survival, growth, global leadership. Why education, you must be thinking. And everybody knows, there is a statement, Jab padhega India, to badhega India. Because it lightens the mind, gives the lightning, it calls the lightening the mind, not just the classrooms. Currently, the whole focus is lightening the classrooms. Education is not the filling of a bucket, but the lightning of a fire. That's what William Butler Yeats said. William Butler Yeats. Sorry. For decades, Rotary has built thousands of schools, classrooms, libraries across India. We have distributed uniforms, books, benches, and even smart boards. And yet, the dropout rate in secondary education remains 18% and rising. Why? Because education cannot stop at infrastructure. It must reach the soul of the learner. A building doesn't teach, a purpose does. Imagine if every Rotary school became a skills and startups lab or a hub, where children didn't learn maths and languages, but learned problem solving, communication, innovation, and self-reliance. Imagine if rural classrooms were connected to Rotary mentors from all across the globe, helping a village child dream like a global citizen. That's where education becomes empowerment. That's where our next 100 years of Rotary must focus, and not just learning for livelihood, but learning for leadership. The number 2 important point is livelihoods. How do we bring dignity of work, power of skills? A job fills your pocket, but purpose fills your soul. India is the youngest population in the world. Over 65% of our people are below the age of 35. And more than 54% of the people are under the age of 30. But what are we doing with this youth power? Every year, millions graduate, but only a small fraction find meaningful work. The rest struggles in silence, in unemployment, or underemployment. This isn't a failure of talent, it's a failure of opportunity. Rotary's focus on economic and community development gives us the perfect platform to change that. By integrating skills training, apprenticeships, and micro-entrepreneurship into every Rotary project, we can move from charity to capacity to sustainability. Imagine if every Rotary club just adopts 100 youth and children every year, trains them in skills for the future, in the digital literacy, renewable energy, EV maintenance, AI tools, or sustainable farming, or something else. That's not just service, that's nation building in motion. Because when a young man or woman earns their livelihood with dignity, they don't just transform their family, they transform generations. Think about you doing this 100 children transformation every year for the next 10 years, and this is done by 100 clubs. Every city, every district, actually, not just city, can transform 1 lakh youth and children in the country, or 1 lakh individuals. That is what the project Lucky Bag is all about. Transforming 1 lakh individuals in every city, in every district, in every state of India. Because that is the real Rotary legacy. Because when a young man or a woman earns their livelihood with dignity, they don't just transform their family, they transform generations. And the main important aspect is entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial mindset, from employment seekers to job creators. Peter Drucker once said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And the next leap for Rotary and for India lies in entrepreneurship. When we look around, our youth are not short of dreams. They're short of direction and resources. Whenever I go to some college or something for some talk, they invite me for that. One of the only important questions which I get asked by these youth, sir, I don't want to do a job. I want to create jobs. How can I work on my startup? While there is so much of support, 20,000 crore, 10,000 crore funds have been disbursed by the government of India for these startups. But are these really shaping up the country even then? Is it enough? And this is where Rotary can play its major powerful role. Imagine Rotary clubs across India become startup incubation hubs, where Rotarians mentor local entrepreneurs, fund micro businesses, and open markets through our global networks. Imagine every Rotary project being powered not just by donations, but by entrepreneurial ecosystems, where profits sustain projects and projects creates purpose. This is how Rotary evolves from cutting ribbons to building futures, from one-time charity to lifetime empowerment. When Rotary aligns with entrepreneurship, we don't just build leaders, we build legacies. And that brings to the very important point of nation building through Mission Zero. India's time has come, not to be served, but to serve the world. Movement we are building, Sone ki Chidiya ko jagao, is not just an idea, it's a call to action. A call for every Rotarian, every professional, every citizen to help India rise again as the startups and skills capital of the world. With Mission Zero and its components like Mission Zero Unemployment and Mission Net Zero, we are connecting Rotary priorities, education, livelihoods, entrepreneurship to build a sustainable, financially independent and environmentally conscious India. This is the next chapter of service, where service above self evolves into sustainable impact above self. Rotary doesn't just build schools and walls. Rotary builds nations. And the time has come to awaken the golden bird once again. You know what? Legacy is not what you leave behind. It's what you live every single day. Friends, the next 100 years of Rotary won't be written by reports or donations. They'll be written by visionaries who dare to connect impact with sustainability. Education gives wings, livelihoods gives roots, entrepreneurship gives flight. Together they create a future that never fades. So let's remember, Rotary is not an organization of the past. It is the heartbeat of a nation's future. Let's make India the world's capital of skills, startups, and sustainability. Because when Rotary's priorities are in action, nations rise, people thrive, and humanity flourishes. Rotary International has been a force of good for over a century. From eradicating polio to building schools, hospitals, water projects, we've touched billions of lives. But today I'm not here to talk about what Rotary has done. I'm here to ask a harder question to you. In this way, will Rotary be able to survive the next 100 years? Because while the world has moved from scarcity to technology, from local impact to global influence, our service models have not evolved at the same pace. We build classrooms, but are the children really learning there? We build hospitals, but can people still afford care? Are they being monitored? We build wells, shelters, but are we creating livelihoods or dependencies? The truth is, we may be cutting more ribbons than we are building futures. And that's a very hard truth to swallow. Pause. Think. Tonight, we're not just going to talk about service. We are going to talk about sustainability. Because service without sustainability fades. But service with sustainability lives forever. And that's what Rotary Legacy Fridays is all about. Reimagining Rotary for the next 100 years. And not just Rotary, but there are several organizations like Rotary. However, Rotary has done such a remarkable work in the society. While education has always been the Rotary's heartbeat, but thousands of schools, lakhs of classrooms, crores of rupees invested, yet our secondary school dropout rate is still over 18%. Why? Because education cannot stop at infrastructure. A building doesn't teach. But today, many of our fires are burning out because we are giving children books but not belief, degrees but not direction. Imagine if every Rotary supported school become a skills and startup hub where children didn't just memorize formulas but they built prototypes, where a girl from a school village could pitch her idea to a Rotary mentor in New York, where classrooms became communities of creators. That's where education becomes empowerment. That's where Rotary's next 100 years begin. And friends, the future of education is not about learning for livelihood. It's about learning for leadership. Because when you light one mind, you don't just educate a student, you awaken a generation. And let's talk about something which is a very important point and, keep millions awake every night is employment. Even after being the youngest country in the world, there are industries desperate for skilled hands but not finding them. And there are youth desperate for jobs but not equipped for them. This isn't a lack of effort, it's a lack of alignment. And Rotary can bridge that gap. Our focus on economic and community development gives us a perfect platform to train youth in future skills. AI, EV maintenance, renewable energy, robotics, sustainable agriculture, and so many other aspects, mobile toilets, solar plants. Imagine if every Rotary club adopts 100 young people every year. Train them in employable skills, connect them to employers or entrepreneurs. Not just for 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, maybe till the perpetuity. Because this is not charity, that's capacity building. That's not a one-year project, that's a generational revolution. Because a job doesn't fill a pocket, it fills a purpose. Every club, 100 people, free education, monitor them, measure them, create talent. Because a job doesn't fill a pocket, it fills a purpose. And friends, the real Rotary legacy will not be in how many meals we serve, but how many people we helped stand on their own feet. When one youth earns with dignity, an entire family rises. When families rise, nations thrive. That's the Rotary of the future. And that, my friends, the next important aspect is the soul of entrepreneurship. Imagine Rotarians mentoring local entrepreneurs, clubs funding micro businesses through social venture funds, global networks connecting local startups to international market. That's the next revolution or evolution of Rotary, from service clubs to solution clubs. We don't need just to fund education or jobs. We can create economies. Imagine 38,000 clubs worldwide, each launching 10 local entrepreneurs every year. That's 380,000 businesses powered by Rotary purpose. Every year. This is how we move from service above self to sustainable impact above self. Because when we teach a man to earn, he not only feeds his family, he funds his dreams. And those dreams, they become our collective billion-dollar dream. This movement we are building, Sone Ki Chidiya Ko Jagao, is not just a dream. It's a duty to awaken India as the startups and skills capital of the world. We call it Mission Zero, with a focus on Mission Zero unemployment and Mission Net Zero, which covers all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations. Because the future of Rotary and the future of India are intertwined. We can't talk about literacy without talking about livelihood. We can't talk about sustainability without talking about skills. And we cannot talk about progress without talking about purpose. Because when Rotary empowers India, India empowers the world. And that's how we will make Rotary not just service another century, but lead the next one. Rotary doesn't just build schools and wells. Rotary builds nations. And it's time to awaken the golden bird once again. Legacy is not about what we leave behind. It's about what we live every single day. Rotary's first 100 years were about service. Next 100 years must be about sustainability. We have given, now it's time to grow. We have served, now it's time to sustain. Because if we don't evolve now, we risk fading into memory. But if we rise together, Rotary can power the greatest transformation in the human history. India is ready, Rotary is ready, the world is waiting. So my friends, I'll leave you with one thought. You don't have to change the world overnight. Just plant one seed of purpose that grows for 100 years. And remember, dare to dream big or die wondering what could have been your billion-dollar dream. Watch Bringle Talks on YouTube, just 10 minutes every day at 2x speeds for your 100x plus growth, 100x plus freedom, 100x plus impact, because the next chapter of Rotary begins with you. Because now Rotary doesn't need more donors. It needs more doers. Keep bringing, keep growing. Jagao, jagao, har ghar tiranga ke saath, har ghar sone ki chidiya ko jagao. Let's awaken the golden bird hidden inside each of you. Keep bringing, keep growing, keep spreading the Bringle dream wave. Inspire others, help them achieve, motivate them to pass it on.